Shalom My People, bringing to you today updates on Black women mortality rates in childbirth. It's shameful that many of our brothers are left to raise their little ones alone because of the racist ideologies that plague minorities in the healthcare system. Take a look at these clips and I will be back with commentary.
Even though I went to the funeral and I seen her gone, but my child right here.
Back in December, Patricia Bouncy says her daughter, Nakita Washington, went to Harvard University Hospital to have this bundle of joy, Nathaniel, her 12th child. But only Nathaniel came home.
And I said, Lord Jesus, you ain't calling to tell me what you think. I think you telling me. She said, yes, Mama, Nikita is gone.
Nikita died at just 35 years old. Several of her children, who you see here, are so young, but already no pain.
They're taking it hard. They have good days, and they have bad days.
And now the entire family is searching for answers as they wait for the results from an autopsy.
If she died naturally, I want to know. If one of them doctors did something, I want to know that too.
Fox 2 reached out to Detroit Medical Center, and we were sent this statement offering condolences, but telling us that due to patient privacy laws, they can't discuss this case.
I'm hurt. I'm confused.
But this grandmother says she must fight to keep Nikita's children together, the oldest being 19 to the youngest, Nathaniel, who is barely 2 months old.
I already thought about it, and I will fight to keep them together and keep them with me.
And that means this family needs help.
I have all 12 of her kids right now, so I got to get a bigger house because my house is too small.
The family is not only in need of a new place to call home, they also need a new vehicle. This family vehicle was involved in an accident and it's barely drivable. A GoFundMe account has been started on behalf of the family to help them get a new start. To learn how you can donate, go to fox2detroit.com.
Whatever God sits on your heart to do.
Silent crisis in our nation's maternity wards. African American mothers dying at a higher rate than any other racial or ethnic group from childbirth-related complications. Families affected by this tragedy share their stories on the day their lives changed forever. Janae Norman has this report.
What was supposed to be the start of a new life turned out to be the end of another. 26-year-old Amber Rose Isaac was preparing to give birth at the height of the coronavirus pandemic in New York City in April, when everything changed for her partner Bruce.
And I just remember staring and looking at her face and seeing how scared she was, panicking a bit. So I'm telling her, yeah, we're going home. This is what we prepared for. This is what we were ready for. This is time. And she looked at me and said, yes, all three of us are going home. And that was the last time I seen Amber.
Amber posted on Twitter about, quote, dealing with incompetent doctors. She died 4 days later. Bruce says Amber tried advocating for herself, but doctors just wouldn't listen.
But she voiced her concerns to her OB. She was letting her know, she's not feeling right. She's feeling a lot of discomfort. She's having shortness of breath. And her OB didn't really understand. She was like, oh, well, there are other women who are working while they're pregnant. So that right there just told me she didn't really care about Amber.
In a statement, the hospital spokesperson saying 94% of our deliveries are minority mothers, and Montefiore's maternal mortality rate of 0.01% is lower than both New York City and national averages, adding any maternal death is a tragedy. Amber's story is not uncommon. July 2nd, 26-year-old Jawanda Washington died during an emergency C-section. And July 27th, Yolanda Kadima, a doula and mom of 7, died giving birth to twins, also during an emergency C-section. Experts like Professor Deirdre Cooper Owens, who's written about how race and gender impacted American gynecology, say the struggles these women face throughout their pregnancies and childbirth all come down to racism.
You see that class and status tend to matter. The higher up you go, right, the kind of better protected you are. That doesn't exist for Black women because we're all experiencing racism in the same way. So when I walk into the office, nobody knows if I'm married or have a PhD or what my income is. The assumption is I might be lying, maybe I'm promiscuous, maybe I don't eat well. I should still be given fair treatment and equitable treatment by my doctor.
My first pregnancy, my birthing experience was pretty traumatic. And then he actually punctured my spinal cord. I was temporarily paralyzed.
We were so excited about bringing Jason into his world, and then the last 2 or 3 days of his birthing process was too tragic.
I was bullied and I was abused emotionally and physically, in the sense that consent was not asked for as often as it should have been.
It took me a while to find a provider that I trusted and that respected me.
We lost him due to what is known as HELP syndrome. We found out later on that his death could have been prevented, as well as the traumatic birthing experience that she experienced.
So many Black families with similar stories, and these experiences add to a mistrust between the Black community and the medical community, a relationship with a long, dark history dating back centuries.
Enslaved Black women were experimented on, particularly during the 19th century. So a little bit in the 18th century, but largely in the 19th century, as obstetrics and gynecology became more formal and accepted branches of medicine. Marion Sims, known as the father of American gynecology, pioneers the surgery to correct this obstetrical fistula condition. People didn't know that he experimented on enslaved women. They didn't know that 2.5 years into his experimental trial, when his white medical assistants quit, he trained these enslaved women to serve as nurses. They were still his patients. They were still his slaves that he either owned or leased, and they still served as surgical assistants. So that part of the story was left out.
The success of James Marion Sims earned him the nickname of the father of modern gynecology, but his legacy is marred by the fact he earned it on the backs of Black slaves through non-consensual human experimentation without anesthesia. Now, doctors like Jennifer Lincoln, also an OBGYN, are fighting against present-day health disparities.
To this day, Black people are less likely to get the same treatment in terms of pain medication. They're more likely to wait longer in the emergency room. They're less likely to be taken seriously. It's a holdover from the days of slavery. And in my field, this plays a huge role in the Black maternal and morbidity crisis. The call to action: doctors, nurses, anybody in the medical field, check your implicit bias.
Staggering statistics show Black women in America die during childbirth nearly 3 times more than white women, making the United States one of the most dangerous developed countries in the world for Black women to give birth.
Shalom, shalom, my people. Thank you for tuning in to the Black and Healthy Restoring Black America channel here on YouTube, and also broadcasting on the Country Living in the City page on Facebook. I am your host, Jawanda Smith, RN case manager and community advocate. I'd like to start off by thanking you guys for your great response to the video that I did for my brothers. I thank you for being positive and inspiring, and I will continue to put that type of content on this channel, inspiring, uplifting stories of our people, because we need some positivity in all the negative things that happen in our community. Just as the series of clips I just showed you about Black women mortality rates in childbirth. It's sad to say that it happens over and over again. And I was appreciative of the Caucasian doctor talking about implicit bias, and that she's talking to her other colleagues about checking themselves. And that's a good thing. I wish there were more doctors like her. And also the fact that we also, as Black healthcare professionals, have to check our implicit bias. I do have a video about implicit bias on my channel, and I will post the link to that one under the video. But we do have to check ourselves as Black people as well, because we have the tendency because we have lived in these stereotypes all these years, we have the tendency to be biased against each other. And it's sad, but we're going to get it together as a community, people. I'm telling you, we will. But I don't have anything else for you today. I will post the link to the GoFundMe page for the grandmother with the 12 grandkids that she now has to raise because her beautiful 35-year-old daughter is now not here with us. And I'm trying to find follow up on that story to see if they did find out if it was something the doctor did or didn't do that caused her death. But I haven't been able to find anything yet, but I will keep searching. But also, I will also post the link to other resources for prenatal and prenatal classes and everything, so you will be aware of the stages of birth and that you can talk to your OBGYN if you're experiencing anything before you go into labor. So the more knowledge you have, the greater chances of you being aware of if something's going left, and you can check those doctors and those nurses and let them know that you know what you're talking about. So that's all I have for you guys today. Take care of yourself and each other. Until next time, shalom.